Welcome to the Massage Business Success Podcast. My name is Amy Bradley Radford, and I help solopreneurs just like you learn how to do it all. I teach you how to earn $60,000 a year or more at the table, while also providing you with the continuing education you need to be successful without burning yourself out. I'm a board-certified massage therapist and have been practicing massage therapy for over 30 years, and I'm a nationally approved continuing education provider for over 20 years. I had my monthly business column in Massage Magazine called Advanced Business Strategy for many years, where I was able to share all kinds of tips about how to have a successful business with business owners just like you. I have also developed the Pain Patterns and Solutions modality, where we learn how to apply non-inflammatory therapeutic massage techniques to create real pain relief that lasts. Now, if you're ready to help your clients and make money at the same time, let's dive in. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Massage Business Success Podcast. This is Amy, and I have our lovely guest with us today, Paige.
Hello, everyone.
And we have a really important topic to talk about today. So when Paige and I were discussing all of the amazing things that we could share with massage therapists to help them be successful in their business, this became our top priority to discuss because it is the number one thing that ruins massage therapy businesses left and right.
So we've named this podcast.
You ready?
Shut up and rub. All right, tell me, Amy, why did we name it that?
You know, because one of the number one complaints that I get from clients, and sometimes even massage therapists as a client, not as the therapist, is that they go to this wonderful massage therapist and they love their work and they love everything they do, but they don't go back because the therapist talks too much about themselves or life or nothing important, but they just talk and talk and talk and talk. And it becomes so uncomfortable or so unwanted for the client that they choose to find somebody else.
I've definitely had some clients on my table who they've literally come to me. They left their massage therapist because they were good, but they talk too much. I've had a few of those on my table that have come to me.
Yes, and I've had lots of clients on my table that have said the exact same thing. And I feel like this is such an important thing to talk about that we're going to take a deep dive into why we talk about ourselves so much, what we should actually be talking about, how we should actually be talking to our clients, and how to kind of change things within ourselves as massage therapists or other service industry people, and how to really improve this part of our life so that we don't destroy our own businesses with what we say and what comes out of our mouth.
Yeah. So everyone, Amy actually, she has many classes, as you've probably noticed by now, but she created a class called Massage Table Etiquette. And so I think it's interesting you use the word etiquette because it's really not something that we hear anymore. It's not something that's talked about in general in life. So can you tell me a little bit about why you chose that name?
Well, you make me kind of sound like an old Southern grandma that's pulling out the tea and the folded napkin sort of. I might be a little old, but I'm not that old.
I mean, you can bring sweet tea to this. You can drink a little sweet tea in this. I'm fine with that.
Girl, I'll bring the sweet tea. Just watch me. Funny story. Well, not funny story. This is just my life. So, of course, this was probably in the early 1980s. For some of you, you might think that sounds really old. Like I think 1950 sounds old, but my mom put me in etiquette classes. And they were offered after school at my school by a woman in the community who felt that, children needed to learn etiquette. And so I took these classes and I learned how to sit at a table, have appropriate conversation, which fork you're supposed to use for the salad. We learned how to greet people, how to have phone manners, how to, what was socially acceptable or what was socially expected of you as an individual. And I learned how to dance. Just some basic dance stuff. This was like etiquette. This is something that's kind of a lost art and it is an art. It's how to behave in a social setting different from maybe how you would behave in a personal setting, and why you would choose to make those decisions as a person.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense you would name it that way, because there's so many, it's etiquette. It's a certain way you act and you speak and really how you behave when you put on that massage hat. It's just a different way to act. So I agree. That's a really good name for it. It's etiquette.
I like how you said massage hat, because that's kind of how I explain things to people. Here's your personal hat. We get to act goofy and, be our normal self. But when we put this professional hat on, it's not that we're not being ourselves. It's that we're being the best version of ourselves in the situation that we're in. And so I talk about putting on your professional hat a lot and kind of setting that personal hat aside, and why you would want to do that. And because I had that class and I was raised with that knowledge, I understood when I came to the massage table that there were certain things that I should say or shouldn't say, or certain ways I should act or shouldn't act. And I'm so thankful I had that training to fall back on, because if you don't have that kind of training, then how do you know what it is you're supposed to do?
Yeah. So my understanding is in this class, you have 9 points, 9 concepts here.
9 unspoken rules.
There we go. 9 unspoken rules. Yes.
And I call them the unspoken rules of talking etiquette. It's the art of talking at the massage table. It's massage table etiquette.
Yeah, it's something that isn't really taught all the time. I remember in school, I was taught some table manners, of course. I remember I was taught basically, like, if a client talks to you, you respond with like a one-word answer. Like, you don't continue the conversation on, is what I was taught. And I think we all know that isn't always the case. There are times when you need to continue the conversation on a little bit. And I know you'll touch on that a little bit as well, but I'm excited for this. There's definitely some things that it's different, and it's not all taught to us in school.
And it needs to be said.
It needs to be said.
We're just going to talk about that big white elephant in the room that nobody really wants to talk about. But hey, I'm here today for you. I'm here for you people. I'm going to make sure we talk about this. And I'm hoping that you'll walk away today and go, yeah, I do that, and I can change that, and it can change your business.
It can change your business, definitely. Let's dive in, Amy.
Okay, so the number 1 unspoken rule is probably one of the most important, and that is don't be negative.
Yes.
There is nothing worse than being a captive, undressed, captive audience on someone's massage table, and you are stuck there for an hour listening to your therapist discuss every negative point of your life, and they can't leave. They can't exit the situation. They're paying you for their time. Do I need to say that one more time? They're paying you for their time, and you're just talking away, telling them about everything that's wrong with your spouse or your partner or your kids or your dog or your money. Don't talk about your money at the table.
Definitely don't talk about your money at the table.
I mean, just this negative onslaught, and they can't leave, and they can't they're wanting a service from you, but they're not wanting what you say.
Something I want to piggyback off on is, because I think some people might be thinking this, is there are some clients where you will have a conversation. Some clients want to talk the whole time. We definitely all have those clients. And what I think needs to be vocalized is we all have those clients where we do talk the whole time. Some clients want that, and it's there, and it's fine. But there are parts when you talk about your life, when you talk about an experience, there are negative things about that experience. Mm-hmm. And I know I make sure to not tell that part. I will intentionally leave that part out. And if later on it comes up, like maybe I'll elaborate on it, but it's not appropriate. I don't care who your client is. I don't care if they're a friend, if they're a family member. They deserve that respect of, it needs to be an uplifting therapeutic process, therapeutic experience. There we go. Yeah, something I want to tag on to that though, Amy, is we do have clients where we talk the whole time, right? Yes. We do have clients that like that. And I think something that needs to be spoken is we share life experiences, and some of those, naturally, there's something that didn't go the way we'd like, and there's some negative aspects to that story, but it's still part of the story. And I still think it's very important you don't talk about that.
Yes.
You leave that out. And even if it needs to be addressed like a little skiff, maybe, like you really leave it out as much as you can. Like change it. I don't want to say change it, but you just got to leave it out is really what it comes down to.
It's unnecessary to talk about it.
It's unnecessary to talk about it, yes. And if it is a good friend of yours, maybe, or a good family member, and this gets brought up again, then you can like actually dive in and tell them that. And they're okay knowing you didn't bring it up on the table, maybe, but truly there are times where it's part of the experience that you had, and it is so important to leave it out. Leave it out.
And I know some of you are listening going, well, but how can I? And this is where we're talking about the difference between personal and professional. And, you know, I'd love to say that there's these hard drawn lines about how I'm going to tell you how to talk to your client. And I'm going to tell you right now, they don't exist. They do not exist. Yes, we have ethical boundaries, and we talk about, you know, how you're supposed to have this client-therapist relationship and dual relationships. I mean, you learn all about that in ethics. But nobody actually sits down and says, you should and shouldn't. These are the unspoken rules.
Yeah.
And when do you and when don't you? And how do you separate them? And that's where the problem, I think, starts, Paige, is as we gain comfortability with people, we lose ground on these unspoken rules.
Yes.
Yes. And
yes.
So how do we maintain these rules as our relationships deepen with our clients? How do we maintain that professional but close relationships with people? And I think massage therapists especially really struggle with this, because when people undress, they take away a lot of their barriers and share more with you than perhaps someone who is in the service industry doing your nails or your hair or your eyelashes or something. I think sometimes we get more. And so then it becomes even more important that we understand how to keep the conversation, even if it dives into deep personal things, how do we keep it positive to where it doesn't take away from the experience that our client is coming in for?
Yeah, I always try to make sure it's so easy to get caught into that.
Oh, yeah.
Because your friends and family are probably coming, but
yeah.
then your clients, they really do become like some of your friends. And we learn in ethics classes, there's boundaries that you need to set. But really something that I've had to be very intentional about is just being cognizant of the fact of, I want them to still feel like they're a valued client. I don't want them to feel like they're getting less than if they knew me. Like, there's just a different experience when you keep it professional. And I want to make sure that my friends and family, that they don't feel like it's different, but in a bad way.
Right. You can still have those conversations, but you still make it all about them.
Yes.
On the massage table.
Yes.
And, you know, sometimes that's hard, but the person who's responsible for that is you. Not the client.
You control a lot of that conversation.
You do.
You control if you egg the conversation on. You control if you wheel it back. There are some clients that regardless, they will talk no matter what. But ultimately, you control more than you probably realize you do.
You do. And you can control it and should control it more than you probably realize as well. Yeah. See, it's not cut and dry, but gosh, getting to talk about some of these things, it makes you go, I understand what they're talking about, but I never knew quite how to handle it. So these are some amazing ways that you can really start to steer and maneuver conversations so that your client leaves you feeling like they shared some time with you, some experience, but they're not walking away feeling like you took their energy and time from them.
Yeah.
And that's what people are talking about when they're like, I really liked what they did, but I didn't want to go back because the conversation wasn't what they wanted. So that's why the number one thing I say is don't be negative. And we could really take this into some psychology here of, you know, sometimes we're geared to find the negative, and we really have to gear ourselves to find the positive. And when you start practicing how to talk about the positive things in your life, I'm here to tell you that it changes not just your business and your clientele, it changes your personal life as well, because you start to pick out different things in your life. It actually has a positive impact on more than just your clients. It will have a positive impact on you because you will start to look for different things in your life as well.
I think it also ties into respect. respect of, do you respect your client at the table, right? They're there for a therapeutic professional experience and you're really not respecting their time or boundaries truly. But then it's also, are you being respectful of the people that you're talking about in those stories?
Yeah. Because if you're finding something negative, it's about someone close to you. So you're disrespecting them. So when you sit and talk negatively about your kids or your spouse or your partner all day and you go home at night, guess what happens? Yeah, you're pissed off at them and they don't even know why. Because you've told 9 people the same story and now you're 9 times as mad. But it's the truth. It's the truth.
So how can you tell when you have been talking too much?
Oh, let's keep going down this list of the 9 unspoken rules. Because,
let's keep going.
Yes, because that is a really great segue into number 2. Watch for the humming sign. Should we give an example of this? Oh my gosh, Debbie, I can't even tell you how my day's been as I'm rubbing your back. This is me, the massage therapist, dialoguing. Oh, I stopped at this stop sign and oh my gosh, this person ran right in front of me and I'm rubbing your back some more. And Debbie goes, And then I can't even believe so-and-so and blah, blah, blah and all the Have you ever had a client sit there and answer you in a hum? Do you know what they're telling you? Shut up and rub.
Truly, though. Truly.
They are. So the humming sign should be something that is like programmed into your brain as a therapist of, I heard the hum. Oh, Debbie, you know what? I'm so sorry. That was just a stressful morning for me, but how about we just take a breath? And I'll just let you relax and sink into this and let's be quiet for a moment.
I actually quite enjoy having them take a deep breath as a good segue. And even when I have clients, this goes both ways. If I have clients where I have spoken too much, because we've all been there.
Even after this class, we will still
do that. We'll catch ourselves, but we'll be better. But
yeah, you better. I'm telling you right now.
So something else that I've noticed though, when people are on my table, is if I have spoken too much, I feel like it's too much. I'm not one that's gonna say, I'm sorry, I'll be quiet. Like I'm more smooth than that. Amy just gave that as like a quick example, right? But I will reel it back in and I'll say, take a few deep breaths for me. And truly the client's probably like, oh my gosh, you're doing something great to me is honestly what I think. They think sometimes, but having them take a few deep breaths and then letting there be that pause.
The pause, the quiet.
Pause. And if they choose to continue the conversation on, I know they want to talk. But I also have clients who I know they want a relaxing massage, but they're chatting the whole time. And usually what I do is when I flip them over, I'll have them take a nice big deep breath. And I let there be that pause. And then if they want to talk, they can talk. But it gives them a really good excuse to stop talking. Because really, if you're on the table, how do you stop talking? You might do the That's very common. But it's like, how do you actually stop? And it's just a really nice way to give them the opportunity to just be quiet. And it's a good way to tell. That's how I segue into it.
Yes. So if somebody comes in and they're doing the humming sign, that's an awesome way to just be like, and we'll just let things go. I, however, am more direct if you haven't figured that out yet.
Amy's very direct and I'm more subtle.
My mama always says I'm a bull in a china closet, and I run people over and just come back and go, oh, sorry about that. But I actually will say, oh my gosh, I have caught myself talking way too much. I'm so sorry, especially if I hear that, I'm like, I can totally stop. This is all, and I will just say, this is all about you. It is not about me. So I'm going to let you just drift and do whatever you need to do. And if you want to talk, you tell me, and you don't have to talk to me. I'm good with this. And you know how much relief that brings into people's mind because you just gave them the ability to be unresponsible.
Yeah.
Unresponsible. They don't have to. And that is powerful. But how did I know that? Because I paid attention. And how did I get there? Because I was talking too much, because I can talk too much. But understanding that the nuance, you feel the energy shift, you feel that they don't want to engage with you, you hear the humming sign, you're not getting any feedback from what you're saying. All those pieces come together to, it's time to be quiet. And you can take the breath, Or you can say, it's time to be quiet. I'm going to let you just drift. If you need something, you let me know.
That is actually a really nice thing to say to them.
Mm-hmm. Because they're thinking it in their brain, you just validated it for them.
Yeah. Well, and it's a social norm. Like, you're taught you need to have a conversation, so it's very ingrained in their head, but at the same time they're receiving the service that they're paying for, and it's really nice to just give them permission. You give them permission.
That brings up a really good story. When I first started out as a wee little massage therapist 30 some odd years ago, I started trading with an older massage therapist, and I remember getting to know her. I mean, older as in, like, she'd been doing this a long time, but she was also an older woman. And she came in one time, we'd been trading a couple of months, and she says, Amy, I want to talk to you. I said, okay. And she said, when you're on my table, it's your time to talk. And just talk and talk and talk. Because sometimes it's really therapeutic. I would have to say 90% of the time, it's really therapeutic to get on someone's table and have someone touching you in a healthy way while you're expressing what's going on in your life to feel validated. I think that's why a lot of people talk on your table, is it's accepted. They feel accepted while they're saying what they're saying. And this therapist said, it is your turn to talk when you're on my table. But when I'm on your table, it's my turn to talk. And I've never forgotten that. How have I never forgotten that?
That is a mic drop moment. Whenever I'm on Amy's table, I always have loads and loads of things I want to talk to Amy about because she's a very social human being and we are very good friends. But literally, there's all these things I'll try to bring up and she won't elaborate on them. Like, I might ask her a question and she'll answer that one question, but she'll put it right back on me because she knows I will continue to talk about us and everything going on. And she knows that's not what a massage is about. She knows that it is for me to speak on the table. And if I want to talk, I'll talk. And usually I do talk to her. But she knows there's a very fine balance of when do you ask a question back versus when you do more like a one-worded answer back. Like, how do you actually respond to the client? And it's a really fine balance that Amy, obviously this goes without saying, and she's really good at. But truly, when I am on her table, there is no question that is my time for me. I can talk if I want to talk, and I don't talk if I don't want to talk. But with her, it's another level than anything I've ever experienced. And you just feel taken care of. You really feel seen, and you feel heard, and you feel validated on a whole nother level.
I think you just summed up the rest of the unspoken agreement rules. I mean, seriously, you did, because it's a balance of many things that creates the experience and the conversation. And I don't know if all of you really understand how important the conversation is to the entire experience of your person on your table. It will impact whether or not you're successful with pain management with them. It will impact whether or not you stay on time. It will impact your focus and ability, and will reduce the amount of customer service that you've offered your client from session to session by over talking. It's all of these things combined into it. So, Paige, I still talk at the table, and we still have a great time, and we laugh and we cry and we do all the things. Yeah. But my hope for all of my clients is that the focus is never lost on them.
Yeah.
And Paige and I can talk about all kinds of things outside of the massage room, and I can express all kinds of opinions, and because believe me, I will, and all kinds of things. But when I'm at the table, I know there's another time for me to talk.
You have your massage hat on. You have your massage therapist hat on.
I have my hat on. That's right.
What I actually want to point out as well is, because me and Amy are different in this way. So when I schedule my clients, I intentionally schedule a decent amount of time in between my clients because I know I'm going to want to talk to them when they get off the table for two things. I want to talk to them about what I found and how their body's doing, but also I have a really good relationship with my clients and I want to talk to them a bit more usually or catch up on something because I don't have that hat on when I'm massaging them. So I will actually take time afterwards, assuming they have time. And my clients have kind of learned what to expect with me. And sometimes they don't, and I leave it and it's fine. But what I've also found interesting with you, Amy, is even when I'm off the table, you're still in massage mode, a different mode, but you're in business mode. Mm-hmm. And I don't stay and chat with you. Mm-hmm. It is very much, how are you feeling? Do I need to pull up on your stomach? For anybody who knows PPS, that's definitely a thing. And so we might do a little fine tuning real quickly, and then I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I'm completely on my way. And so for some people, that hat is on all the time. But for me, when my clients get off the table, I have a more genuine, heartfelt conversation with them. Like, it's more, I have a friend vibe. I very much have more of a friend vibe. Like, when you're on my client of a massage therapist hat on, when you get off, I'm going to chat with you for a little bit and put more of a friend hat on. So, yeah.
I think that's actually a really great thing to point out, that you walk in the door of the massage room, shut the door, you're this person, you walk out, you can be that person with your client, but you're remembering that time that person is contracted with you and they're paying for you to work on them, it is their time. And then you have something afterwards. And it just goes to show you that there is no cut and dry way to approach this based on our personalities. But there is definitely a way to push people away from your business.
Yeah. And just something else, we keep talking about time. Another piece with time, though, is oftentimes if you do talk with your clients a lot on the table, it's easy to lose track of time. I'm pretty good at tracking my time as I go, but if I talk, it's so easy to get distracted. And for you as a therapist, you might have time, so you can go over. I was notorious for this, actually, and it wasn't because I was talking, but when I was young and very ambitious, I'm like, I want to give you everything I can, and I'm okay if we go over 5 or 10 minutes. Back then I was. But what took me a minute to realize was the client doesn't necessarily have that time. And while everyone might think, well, who wouldn't love extra time? Truly, they've booked a certain time frame, and people plan their life, right? People have schedules and people are busy. And so while you yourself might be okay spending extra time with them, that doesn't always work with the client. And that's not something they're going to verbalize when they go, oh, you went 5 minutes. Like, this happened to me literally 2 months ago. I was receiving a massage from someone. It was my first time, and they chatted the whole time. I had a very busy schedule. I planned things. I'm very good at time management. And she went 10 to 15 minutes over, and I was late.
Yep.
I was very late to another appointment, and it was actually not great. And so my massage was very enjoyable, but then I was stressed, and I was like, okay, that's actually not great. So the next time I went back to her, I was very clear. I was like, I have somewhere I need to be, so I need to leave at this time. She's like, okay, great. And it was fine. But it ties in, is you need to be respectful of people's time. Even though you think you're giving and giving and giving, that's not always a great thing.
That's actually another class I have called Boundaries and Time Management.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
That was the perfect the introduction into the next class.
Plug.
But I talk about that. But the number one reason why massage therapists go over and they're not efficient is because they're talking and not paying attention to their work. And we're rubbing the whole time, but we're not actually, I can multitask. But I can't stay on time and feel and create the change in the tissues when I'm talking about my life with somebody. I can't.
Yep.
And so I know that my effectiveness as a therapist goes down the more I talk about myself. And so then we feel like we have to make up for it, and we go 10 or 15 minutes over, which is a perfect example of burnout. We'll talk about that one in another episode. But Paige, you actually just talked about number 4, which is stick to the clock.
Oh,
and the number one reason we don't stick to the clock is because we're talking.
Yeah.
That is 100% true.
Yeah.
And so if you find yourself going over on all of your clients, a lot of times it's because you need to back up on the speaking, the talking, because you can't pay attention to all of the things. And you're the one steering this session. You're steering the car. So you're the one that has to do that. You're responsible for that, for their session. Well, hi there, Amy here. I wanted to take a moment and talk to you about a business system I call Launch. After being a business coach for several years, I took what my clients consistently needed and created 3 classes that answer so many of the questions you are probably asking yourself all the time, like, hey, Amy, how do I raise my prices and earn more income? Or where do I find more clients quickly if I need them? Or how do I change my schedule to match my personal life better and move my clients around? Or how do I get more repeat clients? What is the secret to getting those clients to come to you week after week or month after month? We talk about that. Or better yet, how do I run my business better? Launch is the premier massage therapist business training program where I teach you the real secrets to running a successful and profitable business. This isn't a class about what an LLC versus a corporation is or how to pay your sales tax. That's not the kind of business class this is. This is the knowledge you have been looking for to build your business into something absolutely amazing. So this 10 CE hour program teaches you the 2 ways to get clients through your door fast, the stuff that I tell my coaching clients about how to increase the amount of clients coming through their door. And it also teaches you the 6 questions you need to start asking your clients today that help you create repeat clients. And last is the best class of all, and it's called Maximize Your Massage Business, where you learn how to understand your value, how to raise your prices, and grow your business into a streamlined machine that allows you to have the income that you dream of. It is the ultimate step-by-step process for creating referrals, repeat clients, and revenue. To learn more about the Launch Your Massage Business program, visit amybradleyradford.com/launch. Again, that's amybradleyradford.com/launch. See you in the program. Let's go ahead and go into number 5, and that is, you know what? People just need a safe place to talk.
Yes.
They just need a safe place to talk.
I have a client who, I obviously won't name names, but I have a client who she loves my massages, but that's not the real reason she comes. There's a lot of good massage therapists out there. The real reason she comes is she knows I'm a very safe place to talk. And every time she cries, and I usually end up crying with her, and it's this really sweet connection we have, but I always have a box of tissues. Obviously, you should have them because the nose get trippy and runny, but honestly, the main reason I have is clients can cry on your table, and they do need to listen, and not all of them are going to cry, but I have a few clients, they come to me because they trust me, and they just want me to validate them and make them feel good while I massage them.
Well, you know, they call us healers. This is therapeutic but healing work. Massage therapy, I mean, just the power of touch, and we could go off on the power of touch. But there is, and I said this earlier, something very powerful about someone touching you in a very healthy, healing way while you're expressing something going on, and we're not trained professionals. We don't have to say anything other than, it's okay. But letting people have that opportunity, which won't happen if you're talking all the time and they don't trust you and respect you, but letting people have that opportunity is sometimes just as healing as getting their muscles to relax.
And something, we definitely don't need to go off on this tangent, but a lot of people hold their emotions in their body. That's actually how I segued into energy work in the first place, which is obviously a tangent we don't need to go on, but as they can talk and work through their stuff, that goes hand in hand with working their body and releasing what they're holding in their body outside of just their muscles are tight and they have trigger points in X, Y, and Z. Part of that release process, it is emotional. It's them talking through it and allowing their body to release it in a whole nother way than just talking through it.
And they just need a safe place.
They just need a safe place.
Mm-hmm. And I think outside of muscular therapy, massage therapists get put in this place all the time. And we're not trained to handle it. We're not. But I'm here to tell you, we don't have to handle it.
This is not a time for you to give advice.
No, we don't have to give advice. You can just be like,
I hear you.
And that's all that person needs, which is going to take us into some other unspoken agreement. Well, kind of spoken and unspoken agreements here in a minute, but you know, where I work with such advanced pain management issues, I work with people in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I have learned that it is just as important for them to be able to talk about their lives at the table while I'm working through things as it is to not talk and work through things on their body, on their muscles, because there is always that secondary component. Always.
Yeah.
So, let's go into number 6.
Yeah, what's number 6?
Learn the art of verbal table tennis, and this is true etiquette. This is true etiquette. So, table tennis.
Table tennis.
Table tennis. Massage table tennis. So, what this really means is clients feel obligated to ask you. I mean, this is just social etiquette.
Social etiquette.
How's your day? Great. How's yours? That's called table tennis. If somebody asks you a question, you don't take that question as an open door to barf everything that's going on in your life to the client. They just opened the door and they were like courteous. Hi, how are you? I'm great. Instead of, oh my gosh, I'm awful. Okay, now I have to listen. Here, let me rub your leg while I'm telling you how awful my life is. No, positivity. I'm doing great. How about you? You send the ball back to them. And then they'll ask, and then most of the time that person will send the ball back to you with another question, and you answer that question in a really positive way, maybe adding a little, oh my gosh, my kid did this today, it was so funny. So tell me what you do for a living. If this is a new client, you send it back to them and they'll send it back to you. And pretty soon, what the person on the table is going to realize is that you know how to have a conversation and you know how to be professional and respectful of their time, who they are, listening. They get to know this part of you, and we can go one step further into massage therapy. They will start to relax for you.
I think this is so important when it's your first time clients, and even more important when it's their newbies, right? You're their first time, period.
Yes.
That's a whole nother level too. But what's so important though is they want to know you. They're going, like you said, they will relax. They will trust you more. Mm-hmm. You will be able to get in, they'll let you in more into their body when they understand you and trust you a little bit more. So yes, they're asking those questions. So it truly is so important to see, how do I respond to this? And how do I ask the questions back? And then maybe there's a time where you take the pause and you say, take a deep breath for me. Because then you're like obligated to continue on because table tennis has been going on for a while.
Yeah, table it's been going on for 20 minutes now.
And you use your best judgment and you say, take a deep breath for me. And you manage to make it flow into your massage. And then you have that pause and it allows for them to be quiet if they want to be quiet. But you want to let table tennis go on for a little bit if they're a new client, especially because they want to get to know you. But it's important to keep it a bit more high level and absolutely very positive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the perfect way. And this is where Amy jumps in and says, okay, we're going to teach the client about what they need to do or not to do. And if they're new to massage, it's like, do I keep talking? Do I not keep talking?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know either. And that's when you say, I can keep talking or not. This is your time.
It is okay to verbalize that with them.
Yeah.
Especially if they are the first time on your table. No two massage therapists are the same. Their previous one, they probably had a different experience with. So you need to set their expectations.
Yeah.
You do. You need to set their expectations. So you do that a little bit. And then I love what you said. You literally say to them, this is your time, right? Like if you want to keep talking, we can, but you are welcome to be quiet and relax and do whatever. But yeah, it is. I think that's a really sweet thing to just tell them. That first massage really sets the boundaries. It sets the expectations throughout the rest of it. It will determine if they come back to you.
It will.
It's so important.
Not to plug another class, but in the massager market class, where we talk about the 6 most important questions to ask a client, we discuss training, if you want to call it that, training people about what to expect in massage and teaching them how things work and what they're allowed to say or what they should say. Because when people come into you with certain expectations, sometimes you can meet those expectations and sometimes you cannot because they're so out of the norm. Like, hey, can I get a massage and it heal my bladder infection? Let me think about that one. No, you can't. But people who haven't had a lot of massage or they're new to the natural healing arena don't actually know what massage can do. So they might have these expectations that are wrong. And you need to know what those are before you touch them and correct them in order for their expectations to be met in a massage. Communication is no different. You have to teach them sometimes what we do and we don't do. But if you're too busy talking about yourself and being negative, they'll never know.
Yep.
They'll never know.
Never know.
All right, back to topic. Squirrel.
Actually, stay on the squirrel. I'll see if I can get her to have a podcast about that little class and share us some tidbits. Don't worry, guys.
Oh, honey, I got so much to say about that. Let me tell you. All right, let's go into our next one.
Bring it back.
So number 7 is do no harm.
What exactly do you mean by that?
Gossip.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Gossip.
That makes a lot more sense, actually.
So when you become this amazing sounding board, because that's what I'm going to call it. You're not a counselor. You're not going to offer, we're not trained to do that. We become a sounding board. When you become this amazing sounding board that offers a healing experience for your clients, it leaves you with a responsibility. Do you know what that responsibility is, Paige?
What?
We don't talk about what they talk to us about. It's also called HIPAA. Privacy.
Yeah.
You're going to have clients talk to you about things that maybe they don't talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we're not going to dive into, if somebody shares something with you and it needs to be legally,
Yeah, we're not going there.
We're not going there. We're just going to talk about how, Becky came in to see you today and was crying because she knew she was going to get a divorce and the paperwork was on its way and she'd been through the attorney and she was so upset about everything and you're massaging her. And what Becky told you is not going to be said to Becky's friend who's coming into you next, or her mother who's coming into you next, or that sort of thing.
I think what also ties into that, though, we've mentioned it a couple times already, but it's the gossiping thing. So it's not even breaking HIPAA. Yeah. It's when you talk about other people in your life.
Yeah.
But that's twofold, right? So A, it's doing harm to the other people in your life, right, that you're talking about. But B, it's telling your client that they have to be careful what they say to you.
Yep.
And you can't be trusted with everything because you might also go and blab about it to somebody else. So it's twofold there.
It can be a heavy weight. Yeah. Really, it can. But welcome to life. Welcome to working with people. Welcome to the diversity and the complexity of dealing with the human being. And the 6 months of training probably didn't prepare you for this part of the conversation, but when you become a professional person who converses well, this is going to end up on your table. People are going to tell you things because they trust you, and what are you going to do with those things? You're not going to tell somebody else and let them be. And again, sometimes that's a huge, profound healing place with people. But you have a responsibility with that information because it has been verbalized. Do no harm. Don't gossip. And gossip is part of etiquette.
Yes, it is. 100%.
So number 8, which kind of ties into this, your client is not your counselor and you're not your client's counselor.
We're sounding boards. I think you said it perfectly just before that. We're sounding boards.
We are. But as massage therapists, as people, we have normal lives and we have hard things that are going on, and we come to work with those hard things in our mind, and we're working through issues of our own, and you have a choice. You have a choice to share your issues with that person on the table, and in some cases you might, and it's okay if that's the relationship you have with that particular person and it doesn't dominate the conversation. But if you find yourself sharing the same thing over and over and over again with every client, it's probably time for you to find a counselor or go get a massage yourself, because it's in your mind. And I know how this works. You've got something going on in your mind and it's just there. Even while you're working, it's big. It's something you can't resolve very well. And that 60-year-old woman comes in that's had that hard life and she's conquered all kinds of things, and you respect her and you go, hey, I'm really struggling with something. I'd really like your opinion. Or they notice that you're off. Hey, are you okay today, Amy? Yeah, I'm just having an off day. Well, what's going on? And you tell them. And then you listen to what they have to say. But then the next person comes in and, Amy, you're having a really off day. And you tell them. And then the next person comes in and they can see that something's wrong with you. How do you handle that, Paige?
It's a never-ending cycle.
When you find yourself in that position where life has gotten hard, go get yourself some help and don't use your clients as your counselor.
Well, and also if you keep spewing and spewing and spewing, it just gets worse and worse and worse.
That's that negativity and positivity we were talking about.
It's like on a more serious note, you asked what I would do. I actually sit down because I can recognize it, especially something really bad has happened, and it makes you feel better to talk about it, even though it might be slightly toxic for you to talk about it in general, outside of the massage room. I actually sit down and I journal. I write out all of my feelings, and I might write it down 5 times because I'm very passionate and I'm angry or I'm upset. And that honestly is actually usually enough for me. I just need to get it out. And if it is enough, I frequent my therapist's office often. I'll go talk about it there. I think it's important everybody has a therapist usually, but truly what usually fixes it for me actually is just writing it all out. And I just need to get it out of my head. And then I stop telling literally everybody.
Paige taught me to do that too. It's awesome.
Oh,
I know. Look at us go. But the point being, coming back to the professional relationship, if you're using your clients as your sounding board, then they may not come back because you're talking too much about stuff they don't want to hear. You need to go find the right person to talk to.
Yep.
And you could have some really great relationships with your clients. I mean, I have some clients that have been on my table almost 30 years. And I don't think they want to hear all of that. There's a time and a place for everything. So I'm not going to say that's a tough one. I'm going to say you're going to cross that boundary many times in your career, and you're going to feel that you went across that boundary. You feel guilty. I mean, this is the whole boundary crossing class. How do you know when you've crossed a boundary? You feel it once you cross it. You can feel that your client pulls away from you. You can feel that there's some separation. Your client says, "Oh, I'll call you later to reschedule." You can feel all of those things if you're paying attention. So just realize it will happen, but be cognizant if you find yourself talking about something over and over again. Maybe you need to go find someone to talk to, and don't talk to your clients about it because you'll ruin your business.
I do think that's one of the worst feelings is when the client walks out of that door and then it hits you, goes, oh, I talk too much. And I'm not even saying like repeating your bad day. I'm just saying in general talking. It's like that was too much. And honestly, sometimes, because I overthink everything and I will feel guilty, sometimes maybe I'll send him a text and say, hey, I'm sorry, yada, yada, yada. And I don't do that often, but sometimes if I feel the need to, I will. And it depends on the relationship I have with that client. But it is a really terrible feeling to when they walk out the door, you go, oh no, I definitely shared more. But Amy, what you mentioned to me prior to this, what I loved was there needs to be this equality.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that equality, but what that really means here in just a second. We're going to finish up with number 9 so we can jump into the equality because I really like that, because that one's like the touchy-feely. You got to kind of feel. Do you feel the energy exchange? So we'll get to that one in just a second. But it ties into this one. The last unspoken rule is to respect yourself and your client. And you already brought this up way in the beginning of this conversation about respecting yourself and your client. So when I think about what it means to respect somebody, it really ties in with that etiquette. It's to show respect and admiration and listening. And when you truly respect somebody, you take into account who they are as a person. What they have to say is important. You listen. Listening is a huge form of respect. Huge. So many times when we're in conversations, we're not listening to hear, we're listening to respond.
Yep.
And you don't always respect a person by being prepared to respond. You respect somebody by listening to what they have to say. So, with all of those pieces, I'm just going to kind of back up and talk about those 9 unspoken rules. We got the 9 unspoken rules of shut up and rub. Is that what we're going to call it?
Shut up and rub.
Talking etiquette. Don't be negative. Watch for the humming sign. One-sided talking. Stick to the clock. People just want a safe place to talk. Learn the art of verbal table tennis. Do no harm and don't gossip. Your client is not your counselor, and respect yourself and your client. So let's talk a little bit about the shared conversation, time, feeling, energy. Communication is a feeling of equality where I have heard, I have been heard, you have heard me, I have been heard. That's why I call it table tennis, that back and forth. But there should be a feeling with each client when they leave of equality of the conversation. And this is what you were talking about.
This is exactly what I was talking about.
When we talk about equality in conversation, I think in our mind we automatically think 50-50. So if we're talking about the quality, time, how long people were talking in a conversation, we think, well, half of the time I should be listening and half of the time I should be talking. And it is not that way at all.
So Amy shared this with me before when we were reviewing this podcast, what we wanted to talk about. We had talked about equality. Mm-hmm. And what she said, she's like, it is not 50-50. And that made me stop. It gave me pause. And I was like, oh, okay. It was a mic drop moment for me. Really, it was a mic drop moment for me. I paused and I thought through that. I'm like, that is something I've never thought about. It truly, it's not 50-50. I've been guilty of thinking it is 50-50, but truly it's making sure they feel heard and they feel it's enough. It's a fine balance.
It's a feeling, Paige.
It is a feeling.
So this is a challenge I'm going to give all of you listening to this podcast to work on this week. This is your homework because, I'm a teacher and I give you homework. What you want to feel when someone leaves a session, every single person, is that person walks out feeling fulfilled, validated, better, given the therapy they need. They feel like their cup has been filled to some degree, okay? And you want them walking out not feeling guilty yourself inside that you took too much from them.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about. It's a feeling. The conversation that you steer and manage is inside of that feeling. It's so interesting. I had a little gal that worked for me one time, and she was shy. She was really, really shy and had a hard time communicating with people. And she'd been working for me for a couple of weeks, and one of the clients that I had referred to her, because I'd had a massage from this new graduate, she was great, amazing, but she was really quiet. That was the one thing I talked with her about, was being able to, make sure you conveyed what you need to your client and had enough conversation, because she actually didn't talk enough. And I had a client go to her and then come to me in confidence and say, I was really uncomfortable because I would ask her a question and she would answer with one word, but she wouldn't talk to me. And so then I felt like maybe I was doing something wrong, or she didn't like me, or it made me uncomfortable because she wasn't talking. And I thought that was so profound.
That is so profound.
That you have to have the right amount of talking. Too little talking and people feel rejected by you. Too much talking and they feel overwhelmed by you.
They need to feel connected.
They need to feel connected, but it isn't that you've taken away from them. We talk about energy vampires. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes.
When you're in a conversation with somebody and they just talk and talk and talk, and you're like, I got to get out of this conversation. Oh, look at the time. I need to, hey, I see somebody I know. I need to leave this conversation in a group and leave because they're taking from you. Your client should never walk out the door feeling like you took from them. They should walk out the door feeling like you added to them. But on the flip side of that, you as the therapist should also feel like they added to you and didn't take either. And that could be a 70-30. They could talk 70% of the time and you 30. That could be 20 and 20. That could be a lot of things. But the feeling that they walk away with and the feeling you walk away with should be balanced.
It's a fine art.
The art of talking.
The art of talking.
Wow, that was a lot of information today. Paige, thanks for joining me. You always have such amazing insights.
Oh, stop it.
Okay, I'll stop. No, I'm not ever going to stop.
Thank you.
You always offer so much to it, and I really appreciate you being here with
our listeners.
our listeners.
Our
today.
people.
Our people.
Our people. Thanks for listening, people. We appreciate you. And thanks for having me, Amy. It's always a good time with you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you for listening. For more information about classes, products, or coaching, go to amybradleyradford.com. And if you've liked what you've heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.